a collaborative effort between three of the best-in-class nonprofits in the world and Google to bring an online resource center to veterans and military families across America. My name is Kevin Schmiegel. I'm the Executive Director of Hiring Our Heroes at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also a 20-year Marine veteran. For veterans who are joining us on this Hangout for the first time, you have joined an industry panel with representatives from the information technology sector, and we have three of the biggest and best information technology companies in America, to include Google, Microsoft, and SAP. But before we introduce the panelists from each of those companies, I'd like to tell you a little bit about VetNet, and you have some idea of what we're trying to do with this new platform to help military families transition from the military to the private sector and help veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses find meaningful employment. As I said, this was created in collaboration with three nonprofits, my own organization called Hiring Our Heroes at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University, and a small nonprofit made up entirely of post 9/11 veterans called Hire Heroes USA, which is an Atlanta-based organization. I think of VetNet as an online television station, but it's really a virtual career resource center that will reside vis-a-vis the Google Plus platform, where we can host panels, we can do question and answer periods with veterans, we can talk to veterans who have successfully made the transition into specific industries, we can talk to companies and their HR managers about why they want to get veterans in their companies and how they do that. We can also host events with CEOs from companies and get their own experience and their own opinions on why veterans are valued in the workplace. The VetNet is broken into three channels, if you will. When you think of a TV station, we have three basic channels. The first one is an entrepreneur track. That entrepreneur track will give college-level business courses online, live, and then through the YouTube channel when they're archived, and it'll help people that are interested in starting their own business or growing their business. Then there's also a basic training track. Many of you will go through the Transition Assistance Program in the Department of Defense, in the military. Many of you have gone through that and are now looking for work. This is a private sector approach to it, a nonprofit sector approach, where we provide advice on resume writing, interview techniques, and we also talk about things like networking and how to develop a very concise elevator pitch, or a 90-second, if you have 90 seconds with an employer, how you would talk to them. The last track, which is what you're joining today, is the Career Connections track. And we have one very simple goal. We want veterans, transitioning service members on this channel to see and hear from people who are experts in their field and who can talk about why their industries value veterans and how they're trying to attract veterans into their workforce. So without further ado, we'll get focus on hand. Today's panel is an information technology panel featuring companies in that industry. And I'd like to introduce our panelists. We'll cue them up as we go through, but the first person on my left is Harry Wingo from Google. Harry is a Navy SEAL, a veteran himself. He is the Veterans Community Program Manager at Google. And then next to him is Joe Wallace. Joe is a retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel like me. He's a Senior Program Manager, Military Recruiting and Outreach and Global Talent Labs at Microsoft. And then to my right is Steve Lucas, who's the Executive Vice President for Business Analytics and Database Technology in the Database Technology Division at SAP. So real quickly, the purpose of today's panel is to talk about career opportunities in the IT sector, and for veterans in particular, what types of opportunities exist for them in companies like Google, Microsoft, and SAP. Before we get started with the first question, I'd just like to encourage the veterans who have tuned in to feel free to submit questions. All you've got to do there on the page that you're viewing now is type in the questions. When we see them come up, we'll field the questions. If we don't get to your question during the panel because of time, we'll answer your questions within 48 hours. So the first question for the panel, and I think we'll start with Microsoft. We'll start with Joe. I think when we have veterans tune into these different industry panels, they're most interested in this specific career field. So they want very real advice on how they can prepare for the transition from any of the services into the IT sector. So I think what would be really good to do from Microsoft's perspective is to cover some of the unique programs that you've had in place to attract veterans, to help them make the transition into the IT sector, and then any of the new things that you have going on that may be of interest to them and it'll help them make the transition to Microsoft.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And first of all, I want to thank you and the U.S. Chamber for driving programs like this, Google Plus for the platform today, and for everyone who's joining us today on this important panel. Microsoft has a bit of a history with the military. About 20-something years ago, we started partnering with them in the technological space and have come a long way during that time. And we've had many other different initiatives in the last few years, from the Elevate America Veterans to the free voucher program to get certified in Microsoft certifications. And I came aboard about 2 years ago to really drive the recruiting piece and to bring it all together to hire more veterans at Microsoft. We have about 1,200 veterans currently. It's tough to get that exact number if people do not self-identify, but a good portion of our company across all the businesses, from technology, HR, finance, every area of the business you can think of, we have veterans sitting in that area of the business. If we could bring up the website for this particular program that I manage, we can just navigate through that for a couple of minutes and then talk about some current programs and initiatives that we're driving to bring others into technology from the military. I think Kevin made a great point earlier. I think all companies are tech companies today, and being prepared for technology is so important, because to compete in this market today and to join a company that's doing things online and offline and on their intranet, you have to have the technology background. So are we able to bring, is that site up? I can't see it on the site.
Yeah, it's up.
Okay, maybe I need to click on it so I see it better. There we go. So that's our Military at Microsoft website, just recently kind of rebranded. And on the upper left, you see the military decoder, which you can plug in your MOS, NEC, AFSB, whichever code you have, and find a group of positions at Microsoft that might match to your particular military code and your specialty. It's not an exact science, but it brings you to 29 different families of open positions at Microsoft. So what you're looking at right now are current open positions at Microsoft that map to a particular code. And if you don't find the exact code, or you've been in the military for 15 years and you've done a number of other different things, you can use the keyword function right under it, the keyword search. In the middle of up top as well, in that row, is current Microsoft employees. Shows a photo of them in their combat gear and then what they're currently doing at Microsoft. And then on the right side, you see some resources and partners that we're currently working with. It's not a complete list, but it's a list of organizations that we work with closely and have worked with in the past couple of years since I've been at Microsoft. We have a YouTube channel, lower middle there. You can see YouTube videos of veterans at Microsoft and what they've done in the military and what they're currently doing at Microsoft, how they've transitioned. They explain that portion of it as well in some of those videos. On the left side, you see the clearance jobs and federal service positions that we have currently open. Much of our work, or we do quite a bit of work in the national security space, and clearances at the high level, top secret and up, are important and make you very competitive for those positions. And then on the lower right, you can click into that area. An email is sent to Microsoft, and we'll set up a phone call and a chat with a veteran at Microsoft, or a non-veteran who is interested in speaking to you about opportunities at Microsoft. We're having a lot of discussions about some programs we're trying to put together at Microsoft, and many people understand the technology gap currently in the country. and we're working to help solve these gaps and working to bring military members into Microsoft really on aptitude and drive and passion. In the software side, many of our directors in software testing are looking at programs to interview individuals from what they did in the military. And it could be a supply chain operations person that works on complex supply chain issues. That sort of experience and that sort of aptitude lends itself to software testing and software development. So that's just one program we're currently working on. We look to pilot that by next summer. And a number of other programs in different areas of the company, from our enterprise products to supply chain operations. Next week, I'm working with two of our supply chain organizations, the two large ones at Microsoft that support our Xbox and now Surface tablet business, as well as our supply chain organization in the Global Foundation Services, which supports our data center growth for the cloud business. So that's a brief summary of what we're doing. I'm sure there'll be some questions as we move forward, and thank you very much for the time so far, Kevin.
That was great overview, Joe. We appreciate it. We're going to go over to SAP now. Recently, the Hiring Our Heroes program and the Chamber participated in a very exciting announcement by SAP. And again, I'm not a tech guru, but it sounds like there's a vast amount of opportunities opening up through many of the companies that SAP supports that have huge demands for some skilled workers in some very unique areas. And I'd like to turn it over to Steve Lucas from SAP to kind of talk about that exciting program that they put in place.
Okay, thank you, Kevin, and thank you. Hopefully I'm coming in clear on the audio. And I want to thank you for helping pull this together. I think it's fantastic. And just to be brief in terms of the program. So first of all, SAP, for those of you unfamiliar with SAP, we're the largest business software company in the world. That's primarily what we focus on, is business software. And if you think about the companies that we have just in the U.S. alone, they're classics from John Deere to Kimberly-Clark. Those are the companies that use our technology to run their businesses. And what we recently announced, which is pretty compelling, is when we started looking at everything from our customers who need skilled technology workers to implement the software that they've acquired from SAP, either from SAP itself or one of our partners. There's a huge gap. We just have a massive employment gap right now. You can certainly go to our website, sap.com, and take a look at the open positions. I mean, it's pretty staggering. But we have our own website, and it's right there. It should be up on the screen. It's sap.com/veterans to work. And the Veterans to Work program is something that we just recently launched. So this is a major investment by SAP, where we've set the bar pretty high. What we're doing for the next 12 months is we are, at no cost, training and certifying 1,000 U.S. veterans. And initially we launched it in California, Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Virginia. That's just the initial launch for these 1,000 veterans. And the objective is simple. It's that we will provide the on-site training, so you'll come to a specific site. SAP will provide the education, the certification testing at no cost to you if you qualify for the program. And then, of course, after that, we will work with you on job placement assistance, whether that's with SAP or with one of our partners. And this is really just the beginning. So we announced this program maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, and there's been tremendous response. We've actually already started the training courses in Texas a couple of weeks ago, so I'm excited about that. To give you just a quick sense, and then I'll pause for a minute. I'm sure you want to cover a lot of ground today. We are expanding this program over the next 4 years to 21,000 veterans. So it's 1,000 in year 1, 5,000 in year 2, 7,500 in year 3. So we're getting very aggressive. And I'm really, really pleased with that overall. So the bottom line is, please check out the Veterans to Work site on sap.com. And we absolutely are thrilled to be doing it. And like I said, it's really just tip of the iceberg. This is one of many programs that we'll be launching in the future.
That's a great overview, Steve. I thank you both, Joe and Steve, for calling out Hiring Our Heroes for being part of this and playing somewhat of a leadership role. But I do have to say, We couldn't certainly do it without the other two nonprofits that we're working with, IBMF and Hire Heroes USA. And of course with Google. I mean, I think it's a unique platform. I think this teleconferencing capability, this Hangout capability is something that is very unique to Google, and that we clearly look to them as a best-in-class technology firm to kind of give us the backbone that we need to do this. With that said, Harry does lead a very specific effort for Google as a Navy vet himself. I think we'll give Harry more of an open-ended question because their program is obviously a lot different. In many respects, Google doesn't have nearly as many employees as a Microsoft or SAP, not only in its own company, but through the other companies that you provide software to. So I'd like to just ask Harry how Google is like the Navy SEALs. How's that for a question, Harry?
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate the question. First, I want to say also thank you very much for what you're doing at the Chamber. And Google's very proud to have the partnership with VetNet HQ and that you're using the infrastructure. My colleague, Carrie Loreno, has worked tirelessly to make sure this could launch. And I think it's a great resource. You're right, virtual resource on careers for veterans. So thanks for that. And as far as Google and how it's like the Navy SEALs, I was recently asked that very question on an interview with Fast Company, or actually came up in an interview with Fast Company. And the main thing on Google is, it's an exciting place to be. We're doing all kinds of interesting things with technology. But one thing I want to underscore for veterans is that Google is absolutely a great place for veterans to work. So we have hundreds of veterans that are here at Google. I've been here myself for about 4 years. And my service, I was a Navy SEAL officer for a couple of years. And some of the things that I see at Google that are very much like the SEAL teams is this real focus on innovation and also getting the very best people who are motivated. We work hard, we play hard, and we absolutely see the value of having a range of different types of professionals who are here because everybody has something to contribute. And as far as veterans go, we understand that some of the best qualities that veterans have that they bring to just all kinds of companies around the country, but definitely for Silicon Valley as well, is the ability to just focus on what can be a very challenging, open-ended, ambiguous mission sometimes, and to really grab opportunities, create opportunities, and that's something that I see that parallel. So at Google, I manage a program trying to hire more military veterans. I have a very talented swim buddy with me on this effort, Marine named Sean Washington, who also joins me. He's in Mountain View. I work out of Washington, D.C. And what we're doing is just getting the word out that Google is a place that veterans should consider. And it's not just if you're a computer science person, someone writing programming who's coding. We have lots of coders at Google. But also we have roles that go to logistics, for sales, for marketing. And we're looking for people who are innovative, we're looking for mental athletes. And we know that those reside within the forces, within the military. And what's great about military veterans is people have just really been doing amazing things in defense and support of the nation. And we just want them to recognize that those skills can translate. And one of the things that we're working on is getting the word out, one, that Google's a good place to look at for a career, but also thinking about how their skills in the military, when you're working on a resume, how to translate those efforts. One thing that Google does is, we're getting out there. We've had a really good partnership with Student Veterans of America, so Michael Dakduk and the team over there. We also have worked with the Chamber, the USO, and Hire Heroes USA. We've been part of the effort to help wounded warriors. There's been a series of events and career opportunity days that have gone on. And then also, in addition to the effort to try and hire more veterans, we've just been engaged in the community as well, which I'm proud of as a veteran. We've helped out, for example, Walter Reed. We gave 600 Chromebooks so troops could stay connected. But going back to the jobs issue, Google has a range of jobs, and I encourage anyone to look at our jobs page. If you just do a search for Google Jobs, that comes up. But I would encourage veterans to get in touch with me and my team before or as you're looking at those opportunities. And a very easy way to do that is we have an alias that's veteran_interest@google.com. veteran_interest@google.com, and that'll lead you directly to me and my team. And although we do have a page as well, a resource for veterans generally, and I guess if we could pull that up, that's Google for Veterans and Families. And I see the jobs page is up. Thanks for putting that there. And Google for Veterans and Families is something that we launched last year. And again, Carrie Lorena was a driving force. And I have to give Carrie some props as well for being the person who founded our internal affinity group for veterans. And this is a best practice for any company that's looking to really help out on the issue with hiring vets. And we're seeing this happen more and more. And ours was founded in 2008. We call it VetNet internally. And it's a place where veterans, we can talk about what it's like to make the transition, to civilian life, or also career development, any number of things. But this site that we have, Google for Veterans and Families, is our way to give a set of resources to vets and their families. And one of those things is a resume builder, some tools that are there, resources. And at this point, I just want to underscore that veterans should absolutely take a look at Google as a great place to work. And I look forward to helping out the rest of the panel with the questions that we can field. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks to all the panelists for the overviews. We actually did get a question in. We have a vet named Dominic who's currently enrolled at George Mason University. He's pursuing a bachelor's degree in business administration. His background is at the Air Force. He has 6+ years in supply and logistics, and he's very interested in a technology career, building computers, troubleshooting, et cetera, et cetera. He wants to know, are there careers out there that any of you know that combine the two fields, the supply logistics side and his interest in technology specifically. He's heard that supply chain management may be a good place to start, and he wants to know if there are any others. So does anyone want to jump on that question? Joe, maybe? Do you have any advice to him?
Yeah, so we're also a partner with Student Veterans of America, and I'm working with our college team. I've been working with them since September. It's a fast-moving team and the largest staffing group at Microsoft. So we've already hired several MBA veterans, a couple of them, actually 3 into supply chain operations at Microsoft in those 2 organizations I mentioned earlier. Last week, I ran into my undergraduate connection on that team, and they're screaming for resumes from undergraduates. So the undergraduate side is the area that I'm most passionate about. It's about those veterans who've served in the last 10 years and now have their GI Bill and are getting their, their undergraduate degree, future leaders of America, as I call them. So if you're interested, you can send it directly to me, and our college team will look at your resume and put you through the process. And our supply chain operations groups, as I mentioned earlier, are growing, and technology is a big part of what they do every day, from the manufacturing side, resourcing for the products that we developed, and all along the process. There's some internal systems we use and some industry systems across supply chain that we also access. So a great opportunity for someone like you, and connect with me. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, just one, Kevin, I'll add one additional comment from an SAP point of view. So SAP, SCM, or supply chain management, that's one of the major core business applications that we focus on and build. And if you look at some of the customers that use our SCM solutions, they're massive computer manufacturers, cell phone manufacturers. So really, if you were looking at leveraging your supply chain experience or supply chain management experience, that is incredibly valuable, but also marrying that with your interest in technology. I mean, technology manufacturing would be a perfect case in point. And there's 2 things. One is certainly the technology, the Veterans to Work program that we have on that webpage. That's one area. The second area is SAP. We also have a graduate university, is what we call it, and it's where we bring on graduates or soon-to-be graduates of university that are interested in specific areas. So you have the opportunity to actually work in 6 or 7 different areas of SAP for a year to 18 months, so you're kind of plugged from one group to another, and you can get a sense for where your passion lies and where your skill set fits really well. So I'd be happy to get you connected with the graduate university program. More than happy to do that as well. And also more than happy to talk at any point in time about what we do in SCM and kind of get you directed towards how you could marry that technology passion with your fantastic supply chain management experience you have. And if you want, I'll just put up, sorry, here, my email is steve.lucas@sap.com if you want to drop me a note.
Yeah, I also wanted to jump in, and Dominic, thanks for your question. And Google also has roles open in this area. In fact, in jobs, so this would, if you go to the jobs page, we've got a couple open roles actually that would fit. One would be a supply chain program manager. And likewise, you can get in touch with me directly. My email is hwingo@google.com. And what we're doing at Google is it's really relies a lot on our data centers. And so you can imagine the just-in-time logistics operations that goes with any number of aspects of that. And so supporting the machines themselves, if you imagine all the servers that would be in a data center, if you look, we have them all over the world, and then any range of aspects of how logistics, plus working with machines themselves, and this is a great area for veterans. And in fact, on our operations team, we have some veterans, and one who comes to mind is actually director of manufacturing. He was a nuclear submarine person, as I recall. Within our data centers themselves, we have other veterans from Marines to other nuke power folks. And so, this is a place that is well represented, by the veteran population, at Google. So our operations, logistics side, it's a great area to jump in. And again, if you need to get in touch with me directly, it's hwingo@google.com, or you could send an email to veteran_interest@google.com. That's my team. Thanks.
That was great. It looks like Dominic hit the jackpot there. I guess that's a good lead-in to say to the other veterans who are listening, it might be worth asking a question. Next thing you know, you have 3 opportunities to connect directly with people who are looking to hire veterans who have the same type of skill set that Dominic does. So if you're a veteran out there right now, don't be afraid to ask the question. I think Dominic's going to be busy over the next couple hours putting all that stuff together. I think the next logical question, because I want to leave some time for some more questions at the end of the panel, would be something that I've observed on the first 3 industry panels that we did. This is across the retail sector. We did one transportation as well, and even the manufacturing sector, which focused a lot on some of the high-tech manufacturing opportunities or career opportunities that are out there, to the tune of 600,000 jobs coming open in the next 10 years in that sector. I think we have a great panel to kind of address what is clearly a trend, that anytime you're entering the workplace or in any sector, in any industry, there seems to be a compelling need to have some type of basic IT skills. I think it would be great if we could kind of give the lay of the land for the future of the IT industry as a whole, but also if you have some knowledge on just with the clients that you deal with or the trends that you see, the huge growth, the huge demand that exists out there for IT-related skill sets, and then try to tie in some advice for the younger veterans who are out there. I think we'll start with Steve, because Steve, again, as the largest software company in the world, you clearly have job opportunities, but what makes SAP unique is also your ties to companies that use your technology. And because they use your technology, they have demands as well. So could you just kind of give us an overview of what you're seeing right now?
Sure, and I'll defer to Microsoft as technically the largest software company in the world. So SAP is the largest business software company in the world. So we always qualify that, but we're going to hold on to that title, Joe, if that's okay.
It's all yours. This is a co-opetition. So
yeah, exactly. So and a couple things. So SAP's really focused the entire company on 5 key markets, and these are all technology markets. They are business applications, so that's your classic supply chain management, enterprise resource planning, HR, CRM, so business apps. The second area is cloud. I mean, we made some major acquisitions of technologies like SuccessFactors, which is an HR management application in the cloud. It's a very, very big and growing business for us. The third area is our mobile technology. Our mobile division is huge, and it's entirely focused on building business apps for mobile devices, whether that's a Microsoft Windows mobile device or a Google Android perhaps, for example. And then the fourth area is our analytics division or analytics area. And lastly is platform. That's near and dear to my heart. And platform is all about storing data, optimizing it, delivering it in real time. So those 5 areas: business apps, cloud, mobile, analytics, and database/platform. Those are the big areas for us. And that's not so much the future of IT, but for SAP, we're very pragmatic in terms of the next 5 to 10 years are really going to be hyper focused on those 5 areas. And one maybe comment here that I think is something I see a lot. I work with thousands of customers every year, and one huge what do I want to call it? One huge kind of paradigm that we see in IT is we see a lot of, I'll pick a big company. Every day I talk to somebody. Right after this, I'm hanging up and talking to a big oil and gas company. I guarantee you the call will go something like this. We have tons and tons of data, and we need to figure out how to rationalize that, optimize it, and store it. And then we need to figure out how to deliver that data in real time over the cloud. And then we need to figure out how to consume that data on a mobile device and then provide end users rich business applications and analytic capability on that mobile device. So kind of that, what I call design pattern, where we bridge or bring all of our technology together. And the reality is that there are tens of thousands of companies that just need someone that can think through that entire technology stack or design pattern. And that's really what SAP's geared itself towards. But anybody out there that is passionate about any one of those areas or is a broad thinker in terms of thinking about how they can bring all of that together, that's really what SAP is focused on for the next kind of 5 to 10 years.
That's great, Steve. Hey, Joe, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, that's a very good summary of what I think a lot of the tech industry is moving towards. We have huge investments in the cloud, in our enterprise space, as well as software development. We continue to build new products and different areas that I see opportunities for veterans, and ones that I'm concentrating on now, as I already mentioned, the enterprise portion of what we do with our customers on Exchange and a SQL Server. SharePoint's a real exciting product. It's our best-selling product currently. So if you're working with SharePoint, the capabilities are incredible. I spoke to a SharePoint consultant. He said he needed about 1 more year to figure it all out, and he consults to our customers in this space. So very incredible product. The software development, I already mentioned. The logistics supply chain, because of the products that we're now of manufacturing that we had not in the future. So with Xbox, it started about 10 years ago, is now leading that industry. Also with a Surface tablet that we're currently manufacturing, just hit the market, very excited about that. And with our data centers as well, that was already mentioned with the cloud business. There's a lot of growth in Microsoft, and we're real excited now to be in the retail space where we really had not been in the future, with the Microsoft Store and our products that young people are using and old people and everybody else to look at our operating system and how you can use that operating system to be productive across all devices and across the whole ecosystem. I think that's sort of our strategy as we move forward.
Yeah, and also I just agree with a lot of what's been said. And as far as where things are going, clearly technology is very important. It's growing in importance as well for the military. And I think for us, for Google, we've gone into so many areas. I mean, search is still very important to us, but we continue to innovate. We made 500 changes just to search last year alone. But then if you look at mobility, I've got my swim buddy right here, Android. So if you think about the phones and how we've gone into that space, and mobility is really important, and tablets is part of that, and laptops, Chromebook. We've put our operating system out there. We took our web browser, Chrome, and now it's actually part of a laptop operating system. And so we're continuing to grow in all these areas as well. And what's really important is, even if you're not going to do coding, if you're interested in computer science or electrical engineering, when you get out, that's amazing. That's really a key area, but it's not the only one. Even if you're going to look at sales or marketing, something that you might not think is very technical, it's very important to make sure that you're keeping up with what's going on with the technology space. There's so many blogs, whether it's Wired or Fast Company or any of these places where you can see what's going on with cloud computing, what's going on with mobility and laptops, and just what all the tech companies are doing. And that's going to put you in a really good place to be able to jump in and focus on one of these really good careers. One other point is that as the military gets more technical, cybersecurity, that's come up. It's really critical. But let's face it, there's robotics, there's a lot, there's drones, there's a lot of things that people are doing in the forces, and just consider how you can translate some of those skills if you happen to be one of those areas, or even if you're in an area where it doesn't look like you don't think it's that technical. Think of someone with a howitzer. Wow, think of the how much does that thing cost? What goes into being able to operate it? The crew, the training, and so that's part of the translation piece. Don't be intimidated by the idea of Silicon Valley or tech. But do your homework and realize that there are things that you're doing, that you've done as a veteran, that will translate. And if you want some help on how to make those translations, that's why all of us are here. This is a real sea of goodwill. But you have veterans on the other side who are at tech companies that are more than willing to roll up our sleeves and really talk and pull out the expertise that you already have and you may not have thought of. And that's something we're looking forward to doing.
Really good wrap up of that question, Harry. I think it leads into, I think we'll just cover a couple more pieces that you kind of touched on. I think what we want to happen with this VetNet HQ site is for younger veterans who are kind of thinking through how to translate their skills, what industries to consider, that this become a center for them to kind of get that advice where they may not be getting that in their own transition assistance programs that are offered at the Department of Defense, because we have veterans right here on these panels who have made the transition themselves and can kind of offer that advice. I think as VetNet HQ is more widely used, there's going to be opportunities. And one of the things that we've seen with younger veterans in particular is this whole notion that when they're making their transition, they're making a decision of the heart. And they're going back to communities where there may not be job opportunities, where there may be high unemployment. And what I think we're going to try to do, or what we have started using Google Maps, is we've developed a program called Fast Track. And if you look at IT as an industry, it's a perfect example. So we're going to call up the map on our site, which is also featured on the VetNet HQ site. And what we're trying to do with this is very simple. We want to show the 100 cities in America that are growing the fastest in terms of job growth. If you were to click, if you're a veteran and you were thinking about going back to the western part of Texas, you can see that there are no fast track cities in the western part of Texas. It's blank. That means that that's not a high density demand for jobs right now. But in the central to eastern part of Texas, you'll see 6 or 7 cities that have forecasted job growth. And as you click on those cities, it actually drills down to the industries that are hiring. You see information technology second there. There are actually jobs right there in San Antonio that are focused on information technology. Our job as a U.S. Chamber, which is the world's largest business federation, is to drive employers to use this site. And what we would like folks to consider when they're leaving the military is 2 things. Where are the jobs? And here's a map that shows the 100 cities. And then what industries are hiring? What industries are driving growth in those cities? As we get more and more employers to post these jobs, we're going to see a critical mass of millions of jobs in specific industries in these cities that are growing, where there's high employment rates. And we want veterans, instead of moving to places where they're not going to have good opportunities, to start considering these cities that are growing and these great industries that are hiring. So I think we're going to wrap up the panel there. What's nice about doing these panels is this will be available to service members who haven't viewed it today. It'll be archived on YouTube. I want to thank the panelists for participating. I really appreciate your expertise. I think it was a great panel. I think we got some really good advice. For Dominic, I think Joe had missed out giving his giving his email address, and I know he was going to send you some information, just like a Marine. Probably doesn't want to get too many emails, but it's
Can have my personal as well.
MSFT for the Microsoft shorten, MSFT student vets at Microsoft.com, and we'll send you that information to Dominic after the hangout. I want to thank all the veterans for joining too. If you like what you saw today, please get the word out to your friends. We'll be having industry panels throughout the end of the year and then well into January. So keep your eye out for VetNet HQ and drive as many people as you can to it. Thanks everyone for joining.